Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name, in case you don't know, is Kate Thompson. I'm sure you see it on your screen. I am a principal broker here at Best Real Estate Company and the host of the Best Real Estate Company's Friday Focus for Agents at Best. Um, Before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I have a lot of ground to cover. I am going to be providing some handouts attached to this email that I send with the link. I'm for the podcast, and I'm also going to attempt to upload some of these documents to Spotify so that you may have those there as well. For those of you who just get a notice that there is a new episode. We have lots of things to cover. Normally, I'm trying to keep things to 30 minutes or around thereabouts 30 minutes. But I think I'm going to have a challenge with that today just because of all the things that we have going on that have happened in the last week. So the last podcast that we had, I did it just like a day or so prior to us being pulled into this government shutdown. And I gave some information about what the shutdown meant for realtors, real estate professionals. And then I gave some information, some resources for you to help your buyers and your sellers. And now I am going to do something a little different. We have, as you know, I'm very much a community advocate, and I like to know what's going on around town. So I go to a lot of the public meetings and things of that nature just to hear what our government is talking about, and to where I can and when I can voice my opinion and give insight to our public officials about what I see in the community so that they can better do their jobs in serving us. And I urge everyone to do that as well. I was able to meet a couple of people that I'm able to hopefully do some business with in both in the real estate realm and in another way. I have another business that I'm working to promote and push, and so I met some really good people that can help me do that. So what I wanted to do with that is to start by talking about the shutdown really briefly. That was what I focused on a lot last week, but we're not going to focus on that this week so much. I did want to point out, though, that at the meeting that I was at last week for Memphis 3.0, it just so happened to be taking place on the same day that the government officially shut down. So the National Association of Realtors provided real estate professionals with some options that they could use to collect information that they could use to share with their home buyers and sellers if necessary regarding the shutdown. And so one thing that we don't do really well, I think, in the larger real estate community with regards to renters, and I mean, I don't want to say larger, that's the wrong term, within the National Association of Realtors, is we don't always have information that could help tenants, renters. And so I know some of you have renters, some of you manage your own real estate properties, or you may have people in your circle that are tenants who may be, hopefully not, but they could be faced with a situation that they may deem is unfair for whatever reason. It's not my job to judge that for you, and nor is it your job, but we do want to be prepared and have information available in case we as the professional run into someone who feels like they need this type of assistance. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen really quickly, and I want to show you this document. So it was put together by the National Housing Law Project. the Greater Memphis Housing Justice Project, the Memphis Public Interest Law Center, whom I've had several run-ins, well, not run-ins, but several communications with, and I actually have a friend who needed to use their service in order to get fair treatment from a landlord that she had, and they were able to work it out for her fairly quickly. So they do good work, as well as the Black Clergy Collaborative. So they all put together this document. I have one in the office. It's front and back. But what you're going to see is two sheets because I had to scan it. We're not going to go over all of this, but I wanted to let you know that that tenants also have rights during the government shutdown. And here is, if you need information about the kind of help and assistance that they can receive, in part, who they can get that information from. And they have it broken out by section. So you've got project-based Section 8, public housing, and then Section 8 vouchers. And so if you have someone or know someone who needs this information, we do have it in our office, here in the Memphis office, in a hard copy. We have several copies, so you're more than welcome to pick those up. They are actually located in our computer lab. And then I'm also going to attach this document to the email that you get with the podcast link so that you can have it and have it ready to print at your leisure. So enough about that. Next, we're going to move on to another topic that we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on. It's just that I think it's important for us to understand because it was something that MAAR thought. And when I mean MAAR, I mean the Memphis Area Association of Realtors. They thought it was important enough to put out. So apparently there have been lots of questions. There have been lots of questions from our realtors to the city of Collierville regarding the regulations for signs. And so the town planner of Collierville, Mr. Jamie or Mrs. Jamie Gross, they have sent us a message and told us that they get these questions often, where they can be placed, how large they can be, and that kind of thing. And so they created a one-page summary for real estate signage regulations, which I was able as well to go and pick up. And I'm going to show it to you right here. So here it is. I'm also going to attach this to our email that you get this link with. I'm going to try to upload it to our Spotify account as well. I'm not sure if I'll be able to manage that. But this is about what is allowed and what is not allowed as it relates to real estate signs for only the city or town of Collierville, okay? They also give you a contact number and an email for you to be able to contact them if you still have questions after using this sheet. I think we're not going to go over all the things, but they have regulations for temporary real estate signs. So those are your for sale signs, where they can be located, how they can look, what size they need to be, where they need to be posted, how many can be posted. It's a very thorough little document. One of the things that I definitely do want to point out is that if you are going to be posting your signs at an active construction site, it says that a permit is required. So make sure that if you're going to be working with some builder and y'all are building 50 houses or 15 houses or whatever, that you are getting permission to put your sign there. They also have things about the signs blocking the street, what to do with signs in public places. They don't want neon signs, LED signs, things of that nature. They also speak about inflated animal characters and things of that nature. They really don't want that going on either. So that's just the gist of that. I wanted to just, let you guys know that that is available. and that if you have questions about it, you can use this sheet to get your questions answered. Now, the next thing that I'm going to talk about, hopefully I can keep this to 30 minutes. I'm already on my third thing. So the next thing that I want to talk about is something that is very important. I actually brought it up maybe last year or the year before. I can't exactly remember, but I can tell you it has been a while. But it's something that I think is very important and that I need to remind people of. If you're a realtor or a real estate agent for that matter, and you are practicing in the state of Mississippi, there is something that we need to be doing with our real estate transactions that, as I did a quick review of some files, I noticed we're not doing. And so I conferred with my colleague Malcolm in the state of Mississippi, because I'm a broker there, but I'm not a member of the board, so I didn't know what emphasis they put on this. He said there was lots of emphasis put on it, so I'm going to put some on it now. If you are in the state of Mississippi and you are helping a buyer to buy a product, and a product, I mean a home, or you're helping a seller sell a home, if there are appliances and personal property, so an appliance in the kitchen would be a refrigerator. It's something that's usually on wheels, it's usually not attached. Any items that are not attached to the home are considered personal property. And in order for those things to transfer with the property, we actually need a bill of sale. And I introduced this document. I'm going to share it. I introduced it some time ago when it first came up, that this was an issue. And I just think people kind of forgot about it. So I'm going to show it to you again. This document is in dot loop. It is in the Mississippi 2024 forms, okay? And I knew that I had talked about it, and I put it in there. It is editable for you to edit in the dot loop, even though it's not editable here on my screen. So if you are buying or selling a property in the state of Mississippi, and the refrigerator, that's the best example that I can give, is going to transfer with the property, you need this form. You need to state on here that you're leaving the refrigerator, describe the item, and put a price of 0, so that we know that the refrigerator was actually a part of the sale and should be attached in the transfer. Okay? If the person says, hey, I want to take my refrigerator, and the buyer says, hey, how much would you sell it for? If they agree to sell any personal items, those things need to be documented here, and we need to have a price for each item, okay? This is for every transaction that is going to have a stove, a refrigerator, anything that's going to be, that is not attached, that is staying at the property. Okay, so it's personal property. If you're leaving the refrigerator, you need this form. Okay, if you're going to leave a microwave, if you're going to leave a swing set in the backyard that's not attached, you need this form. And because I have seen that so many people have had properties or closings, and I see where you noted in your contract that the transfer that the refrigerator was going to stay, but this document is not present. We can't go back and have you to go get that document, this document signed. But going forward in the state of Mississippi, if you have personal property that is going to transfer with the home, you need this form. If you write in your contract, the seller is going to keep all, or the buyer is going to have all the appliances. You need to write down each one that's not attached, and you need to put a price on it. If there is no price, meaning they're not selling it separate from the home, the price is zero. We need to get the signatures for both the buyer and the seller, okay? And your commission will be held if we see in the contract that a person asked for the refrigerator and the seller gave it or didn't give it. If we just see that noted in the contract, we are going to want to see this form. Okay? So that's that on that. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me or Malcolm, and we'll help you to understand better. All right. Even though I think I did a pretty good job of explaining. Now, the next thing is, this is the Realtor magazine. A lot of us get this magazine. A lot of us get it delivered to the office, and then we don't come pick it up. So I would always ask you guys in previous episodes, hey, come get your Realtor form, a document. Some of you I was able to give it to you as you ran out the door, but for the most part, nobody picked those up, and I guess that was the case across the board, because this is the final print edition that we just got, and it says it at the top, final print edition. And I may keep it as a souvenir because actually this particular edition has some wonderful articles in it about various topics, things that I normally don't see. So I guess they were trying to, take it out with the bang. So there is an article, bottom line news, tips, and trends for your business. And they're talking about the mortgage process and how it frustrates buyers. So they are saying that 86% of home buyers who reported working with an agent or broker between July 2023 and June 2024 expressed frustration with the mortgage process and the closing process. They felt frustrated when applying for the loan. They call the process costly for a lot of reasons. It was confusing and inconvenient. And so we need to be making sure, I'm just pointing this out because I want you guys to be sure that your clients understand the lending process. It's not your job to discuss the terms of their loan, what certain things in the loan mean necessarily, but you are the conductor of your own train. So you want to make sure that your clients are fully abreast of what the mortgage process is. Lots of you send your buyers to lenders that you already have a connection with or a relationship with. So you should be explaining to your clients on the front end what they may be able to expect from the lender, and also what you expect from the lender in terms of service. And if they come and make a statement to you that they're not getting the service that you describe them as being able to get, or if there's any deviation, then it's your job to advocate for them with the loan officer, okay? So make sure that you do that. The next article right next to it is the top 10 issues to watch in real estate. So the Counselors of Real Estate, which is a global organization of property advisors, every year they highlight the biggest challenges facing commercial real estate in the year ahead. And here are the issues that top their list. Number one, political uncertainty. And then they have domestic debates like issues or disagreements over rent caps for corporate landlords and 1031 like-kind exchange modifications. Those things are going to make it possibly be unpredictable in the coming year. So that's their number one priority or concern, I should say. High financing costs. Debt loan maturity deadlines. So nearly 1.8 trillion in commercial real estate loans is set to mature before the end of 2026. While lenders are increasingly extending these loans in hopes for better market conditions, this temporary relief may soon reach its limits as banks grapple with regulatory constraints and insufficient capital reserves. So that's a big issue for them right now. Geopolitical and regional wars, home insurance costs, housing affordability, artificial intelligence innovation, which I know everybody is super in love with this AI technology. I know one of our agents, Walter, is really digging some of the things that he can do with it. I may have him come on and talk specifically about that. I am much more leery of AI. I don't trust it to think for me and do all the things that a lot of people have it doing. I do realize, because I'm also intelligent enough to know that I will have to make some adjustments in my own business if I choose not to use this. And so I'm working out options for those people who agree with me that they don't necessarily want artificial intelligence and the innovations that come with that to take over their real estate business. Sustainability is another issue, and they're talking about that because of the extreme weather and investor demands that are continually growing. Um, and so they're saying that's driving a need for us to invest in more green technology as it relates to commercial property. And I do see some of that happening in real time. Office space conversions, that's something we're going to talk about here a little bit later for our local market, but there is a rise in U.S. office vacancies, and it's prompting developers to look at converting vacant office space into housing. They're saying it could be a costly process, but that it can be complex. But a generational shift is happening in cities as how people use offices stabilizes into a new paradigm, leaving many office buildings poised for adaptive reuse into residential, healthcare, and educational uses, with the potential to revitalize urban cores. And then the last thing is price gap expectations. Buyers and sellers haven't seen eye to eye when it comes to asset prices, but with the worst of the pricing declines in the past, the pricing gaps will likely narrow and pricing shock will be completely dissipated. So that's one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this issue. We do have a few of these books, a hard copy around here, and I did check on the Realtor.com magazine, a Realtor magazine, the electronic version, and that article is there. The next thing that I wanted to talk about briefly from this book is there is a couple of other articles that I thought were interesting. One of them is an article about the top markets for real estate investors, something I haven't really seen in here recently. Investors are looking beyond major metros to uncover hidden gems ripe for investment. Realtor has identified the following markets as prime candidates for investment returns based on affordability and availability, price growth, and more. And so they listed 10 cities that are right now considered the top markets for real estate investors. And let me tell you, Memphis is not on this list. Usually when I see lists like that, I do see Memphis, and they're usually near the top. But they are not on here now. I'm not going to tell you what the 10 markets are. You can look those up for yourself. And then the last article in this book that I thought would be great for you guys to kind of look at is they have an article about 6 myths. So this article is not on the website, the Realtor Magazine website, but it is a financing article, and it says 6 myths about FHA loans. So I'm going to read these 6 myths to you because I do think it's important for you to hear them. Myth number 1, only buyers with bad credit apply for FHA loans. We all know that's untrue. While buyers with credit scores as low as 500 can apply for an FHA loan, borrowers with stellar credit scores may apply as well. In fact, the average credit score for an FHA borrower is 683, and 80% of them have a credit score of 600 or higher, and that is according to data from Ellie Mae, which is a loan origination software company. Then myth number 2 says FHA loans are only for first-time home buyers. We know that's not true. Even though low to moderate income households often use them, they can also be used by repeat buyers, which we all know. Myth number 3, FHA loans come with higher interest rates. And that is not true. Sometimes the FHA rate is cheaper than the conventional financing. And so it's important to look at rates if that's your client's concern. You always want to look at rates across the board. Don't just assume that because it's FHA, it's going to be a higher rate. Myth number 4, FHA takes longer to close than conventional financing. They actually take about the same time. On average, our national average is about 47 days. You do have to, because they're allotting for a potential delay where the closing date has to change. Myth number 5, FHA loans can be used only for single family residences. We know that's not true. You can use an FHA loan to purchase 1 unit, 2 units, 3 units, or 4, up to 4 units. And then now, in that, you can purchase one of them up to 4 units, but one of them does have to be your primary residence. And then myth number 6 is FHA loans have income limits for applicants. The truth is, FHA loans do not have any minimum or maximum income limits. Even high-earning households can apply. So this is one of those articles that is not going to be on the website. So you have to come in if you're getting your book here at the office. Come in and pick up your book so you can get access to it. But there's lots of other wonderful articles in here for this final print edition. I just want to make sure that I pointed those out to you. And to let you know that if you wanted to have that for someone else to review, you need to get it out of your book. The other thing that I want to remind people of is that this year, starting this year, in addition to your ethics requirement, if you're a realtor, you also have to have a fair housing credit. And let's see, there is a way that you can do that. There is something called Fairhaven 2.0. And I'm going to share my screen with you. So I'm logged into my MAAR.realtor profile. Everyone that's a realtor should have registered for MAAR.realtor so you can have access to all these things. If you look across the top of the page, there's real estate topics, membership, issues and information, research and statistics information, advocacy, education, news and events, and so much more. So what I wanted to do is show you that you can check your code of ethics training here. I've been able to do that every couple of years because I use the C2EX as my ethics training. I think personally that the C2EX training is more robust and it covers more topics than the traditional ethics training that a lot of you guys pay for. I have, and it it's something that you can do at your leisure throughout the course of, your renewal period. So you can check the ethics, check your code of ethics status. I'm going to check mine just so you can see. It says welcome K. And it tells you the current cycle ends December 31st, 2027. So I don't have to worry about an ethics course for this year because my ethics is good until 2027. Okay. My new cycle begins on January 1st, 2028. Okay. So it's saying it's incomplete because it's looking for me to complete the next session. And the way that you know what that incomplete applies to is by checking to see when your next cycle ends. So I do still have some time for that. Then if you come down to the bottom, like I said, there is a fair housing training requirement. Your fair housing training is complete for this cycle, or you may be exempt. So I actually went through the fair housing simulator to get my training. Okay. So you can do that as well. It's saying my next 3-year cycle will begin on January 2028. So this one ends December 2027. And then, of course, at the bottom down here, you can see all your designations and your certifications and things of that nature. Here are my designations and certifications right there. Okay. So this shows you everything that you need to see about that. And it's very important that you guys get that because if you don't, you may be fined by your local board for not having the requirement. Okay. The next thing that I want to talk about is something that I really I really don't want to have to discuss. Let me go and find my document real quickly. But it's something that I think I need to share because I've had a couple of situations with it myself with agents where I've had to say, this is not something that we want to do. So give me just a moment. Let's bear with me just a minute. Let's see. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't see it. And so I'm not going to harp on it. But basically, in our ethics, we recently had some discussions around how we should conduct ourselves as far as, speech that other people may deem hateful or that they may deem hateful or inappropriate. And I wanted to talk to you guys about that because it is very, very, very important that we are adhering to the rules that we all agree to abide by when we are conducting our business, okay? And so they have made clearer, and I think I talked about this before, but I'm just going to reiterate to you guys. They have made clearer the fact that we should be conducting ourselves in a a professional manner as often as we can, and that we should, um, let's see, I'm looking for it, guys. I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here. I had it up and now it's gone. But that we should be looking for, we should be looking for, okay, here we go. Maybe it's here. Education, advocacy, information. Okay. Okay, no, that's not what I want. Um, Dues, information, code, ethics. Here we go. I think I found what I wanted. Here we go. Secondary. Yes, okay, I found it. Um, okay, so basically what they did was they made some changes to the standard operating procedures or standards of practice, I should say. And one of the big things that we should have been paying attention to is what they did to Article 10. So the standards of practice in the Code of Ethics, they were amended. They actually became effective June 5th, and they were approved by the MAAR Board of Directors. And so you can come into your MAAR.Realtor account online and download these for yourself. They're a little bit too big, I think, for me to attach with the other documents that I have. And the form should be coming up in just a minute. Here we go. Should be coming up in just a second. But basically, what the standard operating procedures, what they did was they clarified what they meant about how we should interact with each other, and our clients, as it relates to the way we speak to them and the way we speak to each other. We should, as realtors, have a certain an understanding, I guess, of what's professional conversation and what's not professional conversation. Apparently, there have been some people who didn't have a clear understanding of that, and so now they're giving us a clarity around what they consider hateful, or, well, let me not say hateful, but unbecoming behavior of a realtor in terms of how they interact with each other and with the community. And they are basically telling us that now there is a process for realtors to receive disciplinary action in the event that they have been found to be using speech, engaging in rhetoric, or any type of activity that could be considered harmful or discriminatory. So here, I finally got it up. I'm sorry that it took my computer so long. I think it's because I have so much stuff going at one time. Let's see. I think, let me find what I'm looking for. Boom. I think this. No. No. That's the content. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just not. I'm just not having the. Okay, so I'm not sure which one you guys are looking at. It looks like I pulled this up twice. Okay, I think I got it. All right, here we go. So this is some background information on Article 10 of the Code of Ethics, like I said, and they have given us final versions of the standard of practice for 10-5 and professional standards policy statement number 29. Its applicability to the Code of Ethics, which was effective June 5th. And so basically what Article 10 says is realtors obviously shall not deny equal professional services to any person, la, 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 la. The standard of practice as of January 1st, 25, which is right here, reads as follows. Realtors must not use harassing speech, hate speech, epithets, or slurs based on race, color, religion, sex, disability, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. So this was what was adopted in November 2020. And then it was amended again in January of this year. Let's go back to it. I'm kind of moving fast. A realtor shall be, realtors must not use harassing speech. I said that. Okay. And then it says a realtor shall be subject to disciplinary action under the Code of Ethics with respect to all their activities. That was what was said and was effective this year. And so after a series of spring meetings, we came up with this final version, which is right here. Okay. And it says realtors in their capacity as real estate professionals. So in your professional day where you're acting as a realtor, in association with your real estate businesses, our firm, or in any real estate related activities, you shall not harass. So not just speech, but you can't harass any person or persons based on color, race, religion, sex, disability, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Harassment is considered unwelcome behavior directed at an individual or group based on one or more of the above protected characteristics where the purpose or effect of behavior is to create a hostile, abusive, or intimidating environment which adversely affects their ability to access equal professional services or employment opportunity. So, these changes, it says down here, do not override prior enforcement actions that were reviewed and rendered prior to June 5th. So that means if you were in trouble before under the previous verbiage, then, this doesn't change that. And then for ongoing cases related to this section of our standard of practice on which a decision has not yet been rendered, and state and local associations are to use discretion, okay, when deciding to apply the amendment language or not. If you need additional information, you can reach out to Dan Dope at narpolicyquestions@nar.realtor. So I will attach this document for you guys to have, because I do know that there have been several instances with some of our agents this year, some that have said things that were way unprofessional, and some that have heard things from other agents at other brokerages that was way unprofessional. So make sure that you guys are cognizant of that rule, and that we are out here operating in the most professional way as possible when navigating our real estate businesses. Now, the last two things that I'm going to talk to you guys about are what I consider to be really important things. Well, actually, I have one other thing that I want to remind you guys. So, one of our agents who shall remain nameless had a file audited today. And I'm going to be very honest with you people, with you guys. I'm not really sure why the Memphis Area Association of Realtors is auditing our listings. They have audited our listings more this year than they have the entire time that I've been a broker here for BEST, which is right at 8 years. I've been your broker for, well, it's a little over 8 years, right at 9 years now. And it's just really interesting to me that we went from having no audits to being audited multiple times. They're like randomly checking our files. So I want you guys to be careful. This particular agent, though, worked with another realtor who had a listing, which was a entry only listing. Okay, so in the notes, the listing agent, who wasn't our agent, said, you are going to have to contact the seller for all negotiations and whatnot, which our agent did. No problem. Contacted the seller. They worked through the transaction together, and the transaction closed. So the buyers, or the listing agent, decided to report, as they should have, report that the listing had closed and all of those things. MAAR has come back with a violation for this agent. And I actually had never seen anybody get a violation for this. And maybe you have. It just hasn't happened on my watch. But she got a violation from the standard operating procedures, or for MLS section 2.5, sections 2A and B. So section 2 says showings and negotiations. This is for MLS, the MLS regulations. Appointments for showings and negotiations with the seller for the purchase of a listed property filed with the MLS shall be conducted through the listing broker, except under the following circumstance. The listing broker gives the cooperating broker specific authority to show and negotiate directly with the seller, which this agent did for our agent, because that agent who had the listing said you need to work with the seller, okay? And then it says for section 2.5, status changes including final closing of sales and sale prices shall be reported to the multiple listing service by the listing broker within 48 hours. 48 hours after they have occurred. If negotiations were carried out under section 2A or 2B, hereof, the cooperating broker shall report the accepted offers and prices to the listing broker within 48 hours after the occurrence, and the listing broker shall report them to the MLS within 48 hours after receiving notice from the cooperating broker. The listing office and listing agent shall be reported as the selling office and the selling agent only if the sale was not a cooperative sale. So basically what they're saying is, if there is an MLS only listing in the Paragon for Memphis Area Association of Realtors, you as the buyer agent still have to report all the things to the listing agent. And the listing agent, you have to do it within 48 hours. And the listing agent has an additional 48 hours to get that information updated on the MLS. So if you have a listing where the listing agent, if you see a listing, the listing agent says in the comments, contact the seller. You contact the seller, you schedule a showing. You still have to go back and tell the listing agent that you did that. If you get a property, doing negotiations with the seller and you get the property under contract, you still have to tell the listing agent within 48 hours. And once it closes, you have to report that to the listing agent within 48 hours of closing. And then the listing agent has 48 hours to convey that information back to the MLS. So I'm not sure how it's going to turn out. We're still in the middle of the audit, but I want you guys to be very, very careful because they have reached out to me several times regarding our files. So I'm not really sure what's going on, why we are at the top of their investigative list. But make sure that you have all your T's crossed and all your I's dotted, because without proper paperwork and verification, your brokers, myself, Malcolm, and Lydia alike, we cannot go to bat for you. We can't go to bat for you off of he said, she said. We have to have documented proof. All right. And then the last couple of things that I want to talk about are really cool in a way. Like I said, I went to the Memphis 3.0 meeting. And with the Memphis 3.0 meeting, basically, they are let's see. Basically, they are at the phase where they are updating their 5-year plan. So this was Memphis 2.0 and now it's Memphis 3.0. And what one of the things that they're doing is updating our zoning codes, okay, and the zoning districts. And I was able, and this doesn't make me special, anybody can do this. I am just on a email list where I get different updates about what's going on in regards to this. And, I get asked, as you would if you register, to be able to come out and speak to them, the powers that be within the city who are trying to implement this plan, about any challenges and any things that I would like to see in the respective communities. I do know that there are going to be trying to touch as many neighborhoods as possible to bring this information. And so what I wanted to do was start with some numbers that they gave us. Let's see. Okay, here we go. So one of the things that they shared was that Memphis has more people per capita within a mile on average than any other city in the Mid-South. We tend to believe that more and more people are leaving the city proper for the suburbs, but that is actually not true. And this document that you see on your screen that says housing versus demand, housing type, is a document that I got from the people who are implementing the Memphis 3.0 plan. So that's the city and the county. And their source for this data came from the United States Census Bureau. And basically, this is Memphis, Tennessee households by the numbers. So if I scroll down, you will see that this is based on nuclear families. So only 11.8 families in Memphis are what they consider nuclear families, traditional nuclear families, meaning you have a mother, a father, a couple kids, okay? So only 11.8% of our families are nuclear families. And then 11.8 are single parent families. So homes where there's just a mother or father and the kids. 15.7% of all the households are adult roommates, meaning they're not a traditional family. They're just roommates, people who live together and share expenses for the household. And then 22.1% are couples with no kids, right? So they're married, but they haven't, expanded their family yet. And then 38.6% are single people who live alone. So what that turns out to be is a large number. 88.2% of households are not traditional nuclear families. The largest percentage for Memphis being 38.6% of these people who are single and living alone. Do they want a big 4-bedroom, 3-bath home? Some of them, sure, but not all of them. And so the city and the county are trying to work together to address this right here. That 38.6% of people who may not be purchasing or looking to buy or what have you, because there is not the type of housing that would interest them available here in large numbers. Another thing that they talked about in the meeting, but you don't see reflected here, is that there is a severe lack of senior housing and assisted living. And so they do have plans to try to remediate that some. So 65.8% of housing units in Memphis cater to these traditional nuclear families down here that just have a mom, a daughter, a mom, a father, and kids. And then the other 34.2% is multiple family housing. And, the single people may not want to be in multifamily housing either. So they are working to address that. One of the things that they share with me is that in addition to that, so in order to do something about that, they are looking to update the zoning. So that is one of the documents that I'm going to send out to you guys. They gave us a zoning district guide. So now let's just take R6, which is a zoning for Memphis that we see all the time when we go to our CRS data and we're looking for comps. A house may be zoned R6. That 6 means that the lot that the house is sitting on is 6,000 square feet. If something is zoned R8, that means that the lot, in order for you to put traditional residential housing on it, has to be 8,000 feet, so forth and so on. I also learned something interesting, which is that Winchester in Memphis is the only street in all of Shelby County that has every single type of code, a zoning code, that we have in existence here now, present on it. So they are looking to create these anchor neighborhoods, anchor streets, and things like that throughout the city to help draw in more financial resources to help rebuild, bring products and services and things that the communities need back. And so that is what the crux of the last meeting with them was about. And they gave us this guide, which I'm going to share with you, which is the new zoning labels that we're going to see going forward. These zoning things will eventually start to take shape in our public records, and we'll start to see these things be added and the old zoning to be removed. So I just thought it would be a good idea for me to go ahead and give you guys a guide. I'm going to show it to you briefly and kind of explain it to you so that you have some idea of how to use it going forward. Okay, so let's see. We are going to share one last time, guys. Let's see. Here we go. Boom. All right. So this is the 5-year zoning district guide. And basically what they're doing is you use this guide to learn more about the types of zoning governed by the Unified Development Code in the city of Memphis. For more detailed information, view the UDC online at develop901.com. The zoning types included in this booklet are listed in ascending order according to the level of intensity, and an example is shown to the right. So like I said, you have residential 6, which means that the lot has to be 6,000 square feet. These are what they're going to be changed to. They give you a description of what would fall under this type of zoning and a picture. Right? So they're showing you. So see here, R8 means that that can be used for single family residence. It can be used for churches or schools and large lot sizes. The 8 means that the lot size has to be 8,000 square feet. R10 is 10,000. R15 is 15,000. So they kind of are giving you examples of what that would look like. And they're telling you what the compatible use categories are. Okay? So this goes on and on and on. I think it's about 20 pages, yes. And that, like I said, they show you examples of the types of buildings and everything that should be there. And you have the opportunity as an agent or as a member of the community to go to these public meetings when they have them and voice your opinion. They put out big maps so that you can see the different areas that they're talking about. And they share with you the plans of what their idea is for how that space should be used. If we don't make our voices heard while they're in the process of making these things, I have found that it becomes a little bit too late and less effective when you voice your opinion after they've already taken the steps that they're going to take. So make sure that you pay attention to that. There will be more changes coming because we gave them some things that we wanted them to adjust in that document. So I may be sending you an updated one, but for the time being, that's the document now. And I have actually gotten through this in a little bit over an hour. I thought it was going to take me about an hour, and I'm very happy that I was able to not be an hour and 30 minutes. If you have any questions about any of the things that we talked about on this podcast today, please feel free to reach out to me. You can send me a text message. You can email me. You can drop by the office during regular business hours, Monday through Friday. I'm pretty sure I'll be here. You guys know I'm in the Memphis office. And if there's anything that you want me to discuss or give you information about, please feel free to offer that as well. And with that being said, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me and tuning in. I hope this information is helpful to you. Remember that we are working in a delayed real estate climate because of this shutdown. So I hope that everyone is praying that we can get back to normal as soon as possible. And with that, I bid you a good Friday, and I hope you're out there selling something. Bye-bye.